Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. I am Kel McDonald. I make comics you can read at kelmcdonald.com.
And I am Alina Pete, and I make comics that you can read at wheregeek.com or alinapete.com. It
What have you been
is.
up to this week, Alina?
It's been a week. It's been a week. I have been on my own because my partner is away at a science conference, so it's just been me and the birds hanging out in a rainy, rainy week, which has been really cozy, actually.
Bird party.
It's been a bird party. The birds have been stuck to me 24/7. It's been kind of great, actually.
Um,
I want to draw us both as birds. It's a bird
I
party.
have been watching TV as usual.
Good, good.
Um,
I've been watching a lot more TV than usual.
I watched Del Toro's Pinocchio,
Me
and that was very
too.
good.
Yeah, it was.
Um,
I'd heard a lot of people be like, "This was not what I expected," and it was not what I expected at all. But it was, in retrospect, very Del Toro.
I think because I had heard him say in interviews that he wanted to be closer to um classical
Like the
uh
book.
yeah like the book more than other adaptations of Pinocchio. So I knew it was going to be darker.
Yeah. Well, I've read the
um
book, and it is more like a
yeah
series of boys' mysteries, like or not mysteries, but like boys'
yeah
adventures, where it's like this thing happens, and then this thing happens, and now there's completely different
yeah
thing happens.
but the original still has like the ruling class uses your idleness to turn you into beasts of burden, or
Yeah, yeah.
like sort of
Or
messaging in
or
it,
boys
like
vice makes them animals, and if they're good
and
ingredients, then they
the
should.
upper class abuses that to
Yeah,
yeah and so there's a little bit of like socialist messaging that is sort of Del Toro's jam. And so yeah, so like the turning the boys carnival into actually a fascist training camp.
was
um
fascinating.
it works in his like general wheelhouse vibe.
Yeah.
I love the design for Death.
Oh God, death is so cool.
Yeah.
Or
Uh,
timelessness or whatever they were. They're very
uh,
good.
no, because it's supposed to be like they're credited as the spirit of life and the spirit of death.
Yeah.
Uh, and I like that Pinocchio helped the monkey.
Yeah. Also, did not know until the credits that that was Kate Blanchett.
Yes.
I deeply love that they got Kate Blanchett on a movie to just make monkey noises.
Well, she said that she really wanted to be in this movie and she would play any role. And he told her the only role not cast yet is the monkey. And she's like,
Fuck yes.
then I'll be a monkey.
Me too. I want to play a monkey. I love that for her. Cause like when else is she gonna
Yeah.
get cast as a monkey? Especially this like
Uh,
real scraggly looking monkey.
yeah.
I love it.
Who, who is the voice of Death?
Oh, come on. Tall lady, brain, Gwendolyn Christie.
Uh, yes, and I know who you mean now. She's Lucifer in Sandman.
Mm-hmm.
That the good lady, Gwendolyn something.
Gwendolyn Christie.
Yes. Um, I successfully got my mom to watch Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh fuck yes. Hell
Um,
yes.
and I got a text from my sister that was like, "Mom is wondering if you were trying to tell her something by recommending this movie." And I'm like, my mom's gonna start asking me if I like girls again,
Oh no.
which the answer is no.
I
Um, and it's always been no, and it is still no. And
I see. That's
that's
not where I thought where
annoying
she
that
was.
that was her takeaway from the movie. Like,
Huh.
there's so much like thematic, interesting shit about like the meaning of life in the movie.
Oh yeah.
Um,
And like just tense familial relationships generally.
and so be if my mom calls me and asks me that, I'm going to be so annoyed with her. Like, were you trying to tell mom something by recommending this? It's like that nihilism is bad, and like not to give in to hopelessness, and
Yeah.
like be kind to people. Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
yes, that's what I'm trying to tell her. But
The rest of it, no.
yeah. Um,
I
there was
oh, go ahead.
there was an article going around that there is a generational divide on who understands everything everywhere all at once. Um, the boomers don't get it basically.
Boomers, y'all. It's very obvious.
Because there's a lot of people who are like, my parents watched it and they thought it was just weird. Um,
It's so hopeful. It is very, very though millennial and later sort of themes of like, hey, you know what? We have fraught relationships with our parents sometimes because they have different generational goals than we do, and they've been forced onto us, and we kind of don't agree with them, and we're starting to break loose from that.
mhm,
Uh, to say nothing of this like overarching thing that people have been seeing in media done by a lot of Chinese writers, where it's like, yo, Chinese American parents will push their children real fucking hard, and we're as a generation are
mhm.
starting to discuss that now. So there's gonna be a lot of movies where we live out the fantasy of our parents ever apologizing for their shit.
I don't think that she apologizes in everything everywhere all at once. Um, like she does reach out and try to have a connection, but she doesn't apologize.
I don't know though. Like she definitely changes her tune in a way that would not have
Yeah,
been who she was formerly, and I think that's as
it's
good
like
as an
an
apology
apology
as you
without
can
an
get from some
it
people.
it's it's like an apology in action rather than in
Yeah, exactly.
statement.
Well, I know that was a thing that people were saying about come on, brain. Pixar movie.
Seeing red.
No, no, not
No.
turning red. Boop boop, the Pixar
No.
movie. Encanto.
Oh,
Where they
they
were
were
like, white people were like, I don't know if she really apologized. Like, she didn't ever really say she was sorry. And then Latino people were like, holy shit, Abuela said she was, like, admitted she was wrong. Fuck, that's huge.
yeah.
Holy shit.
Um, there's a very funny YouTuber. Are they gay? Like that's the YouTube
Good,
channel.
good, good.
And it is a gay Latino guy, and he is talking about Latino reaction versus queer reaction to
Ooh,
Encanto and
oh,
who is
fancy.
correct. The spoiler alert, the answer is queer Latinos. But
Good.
the it was funny because it's like he keeps dancing around that being the obvious answer,
Yes.
because obviously he's doing that because the internet kept fighting, not acknowledging that those exist.
Yeah.
Um,
That you can be both, actually. Intersectionality, what?
because there were a lot of queer folks I saw discussing Encanto and them being like, I don't like this, go back to your family message. Sometimes you just got to break away from your family. Um, People who said that overlap with people who got overly invested in Bruno,
Yeah.
is almost the same circle.
Yeah.
Cause so I watched it expecting there to be more Bruno,
Mhm.
cause the internet's the internet.
Mm.
Um, and
And listen,
people like they
we
didn't
don't talk about it.
apologize. They didn't apologize to Bruno specifically, and it's like, yeah, because he's not the main character.
Yeah.
Like he's like we don't have time for that. Like I actually felt like we're suddenly gonna have him make up with all the relatives real quick at the end.
Mhm.
Jarring mostly because like the story's about uh the girl with the glasses. It's not
Yeah.
about him.
Yeah.
Like um
He is part of her stakes is I think
yeah.
the best way to look at it.
Um yeah, and so like I didn't need his reunite, make up with the family apology tour at the end, and it seemed like a lot of queer people I saw criticizing it were mad that more people didn't like apologize to Bruno specifically.
Well, and I mean,
Um,
part of that is because of the queer lens of like, yo, so I can
yeah,
relate to being ostracized from your family for sort of being who and what you are, and being made monstrous, and being forced to hide yourself, literally hide yourself from the family, in the
yeah,
walls.
and and
Like,
I think like, but that's
and
also there for I think all the current generation.
mm,
Um, like because you have I forget all their names because I was kind of indifferent to the movie, so I did not rewatch it.
mm,
So I only know Bruno's name because his name is in a song that's very
yes, it's a
catchy.
very famous song.
Um, and so like the girl who can make plants grow,
Yeah,
she's getting like pushed into hyper feminine land,
yeah,
and like it's and like how main character girl is like sidelined because she's not fitting like the traditional family role or whatever, and so like I understand like
there's some big
queer
queer themes
reading,
here. Yeah.
like you got it all there, like all of them got it,
Mm-hmm.
like so latching on to Bruno specifically feels a bit like Tumblr gonna latch onto a skinny guy. Tumblr gonna Tumblr.
Oh yeah, Tumblr gonna
Um,
Tumblr.
yeah. So my takeaway was like, because he's not the main character, I don't need an apology. Let's make it up to Bruno, like, because the plot is on the main girl, and
Yeah.
um, we don't got time for his apology tour.
No.
And it's weird that it's there, in my opinion.
I mean, I get it. He is the physical manifestation of the secrets that a family can hide. Uh,
Yeah. I'm just talking at the end when we get his apology tour.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like I don't
We don't need that. He's back. He's
yeah.
been reintegrated with the family. They've decided they
Yeah.
can talk about their
That's
shit now.
yeah, that's it. Like that's all we didn't
Yeah.
need like
I could
him
see.
explaining himself on the wedding or
Oh, for sure.
him like yeah.
I can totally see though why a lot of queer people need that. This like I
Mhm.
need some wish fulfillment of like, what if my family would apologize for their shit and let me back into their lives? I would love that. And poor Bruno never gets that, and I real feel for him. He can't get, even a fictional character can't get the thing that I want and need. It would be pretty crushing.
Yeah. Um my takeaway while watching Encanto was its biggest problem is the two best songs are in the first half of the movie, and after we don't talk about Bruno, it's all downhill from there song wise.
Mm,
Um, and I also, because I know my biases,
yep.
I was like, this isn't a movie for me because the shapeshifter kid only has like a couple of scenes
Oh
and is
yeah.
not a main
Yeah,
character.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
Give me
if
more
you
of that
wanted
good
to make a Kel
shapeshifter.
movie, he's in the whole movie.
Yeah.
Like, uh
Give me more Adventures of Wolf Boy.
No, just like shitty piece of shit like shapeshifter kid.
Good. Good.
Like him shapeshifting to get like extra breakfast, like yeah, chef's kiss. Great. Give me more of that character. Um
Excellent. Good character plot.
yeah. He doesn't have to be the main character. He could be like a sidekick,
Yeah.
like just more.
More of that,
Um
please.
um but I acknowledge that that is a different movie. So I was like, well, this movie's not for me because this kid isn't the star.
Yeah.
Uh
I know this about myself. I know this to be true.
yeah, I know what I like and it's shitheads.
Good. Shitheads who can turn into different things and use
They
that
don't
power
even have to
for
turn into different
chaos.
things. Like, while I know El Dorado not has some problems,
Yeah,
some
yeah,
serious
yeah,
cultural
yeah, yeah,
problems.
yeah.
Like, those shitheads are like, yeah, give me more of those.
If it was fictional cultures that they were talking about instead of real colonized
Yeah,
and genocided people, it would actually be pretty rad. But unfortunately, there's a lot of colonization happening in that movie. I
yes.
can't actually watch it.
It's
Uh,
also
we
a
were studying that.
very dated reference that like people would have forgotten about by the time it came out.
Hmm.
So the reason why it is called The Road to El Dorado is it is referencing this series of 60s and 70s comedies that were all The Road to and then insert city name.
Right.
Um, and it was two idiots like
Trying to get
um
somewhere and fucking it
and,
up.
or no, they go to a place, they have some wacky hijinks,
Hmm.
and then they leave.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and have you ever seen the Mel Brooks movie History of the World Part 1?
Yes. Yeah.
So you know how when they're leaving Rome, they say we're going to Judea, and then they start to sing we're on the road to Judea.
Yep.
That is also a reference to these comedies. Like so it's like a dated reference that the target audience isn't going to get. The parents might not even remember. The parents of the
Wow.
target audience might not even remember.
Wow.
Like, um,
Powerful. There's
like if
layers.
I wanted to make a cartoon that was like full of Buster Keaton references, like
Yeah.
because like that was their response to people being like this is super culturally insensitive, and they're like, well, it's referencing these series of movies which were also not accurate depictions of the places that they were
No.
visiting.
Yeah.
And it's like those movies were made in the 60s and you maybe should have thought about that
Especially
before.
for a children audience. They're
Yeah,
never ever ever gonna get your very dated references. There's
yeah,
a lot of cultural artifacts like that in animation because animation is primarily, or at least was primarily, written by like old white dudes uh,
yeah.
who were writing shit for kids, and so like they'll sneak these jokes into it because it amuses them, and you're like, who is this for other than you? Nobody was gonna
Like
get
yeah,
this.
like um Bugs Bunny is Clark Gable.
Yes, yeah,
um
that is the classic example.
uh and then like Foghorn Leghorn is like referencing another thing that would be like a contemporary of Clark Gable.
Yeah, there was also like a Lily Tromlin character, I think, in Looney Tunes or Tiny Toon Adventures, and like that wouldn't have landed with anyone who was watching Tiny Toons Adventures.
And I know that Tiny Toons had a Marx Brother
Yes.
episode,
Yeah.
but at least they framed that episode of if you're going to be comedians, you got to learn your history.
Yeah. Well, and Tiny Toons and Animaniacs generally had this attitude of like, as a child watching them, you're like, some of the shit I'm just not gonna get.
Like, yeah, so like the Marx Brothers, because they're specifically saying we are referencing an older thing
Mm-hmm.
that like the Tiny Toons don't like understand the reference, but
It's
they're learning it for
okay.
history
Yeah,
class.
and it's okay if you
Like,
don't get it.
yeah. Um and also those jokes are still funny because they're mostly slapstick.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to someone the other day about Mel Brooks movies, and while um, Robin Hood Men in Tights and Dracula Dead and Loving It came out around the same time,
Yep.
got about the same reception,
Yep. Yep.
uh, Dracula Dead and Loving It ages better because it's almost all slapstick. Like the jokes
Yeah.
are Renfield falls down the stairs and says AEIOU and then goes why.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that's gonna be the same amount of funny in the 90s that it is today.
Speaking of Renfield, I am very excited to see that movie when it comes out. Uh, i.e. Renfield, not
Yeah.
a Mel Brooks book film, which has been out for many, many years.
Yeah.
Um, Nick Cage as a vampire is just I could have a lot of movies with Nick Cage as a vampire, especially as this like the dumbass boss vampire is going to be very good. That's basically made to appeal to me. I love dumb vampires. I love when vampires are bad at things. Uh, I love
They're
when they're
cowards for
idiots.
not giving Renfield a boyfriend
Yep.
because it is basically a Guillermo movie.
Yep.
But the guy playing Renfield,
Mhm.
I appreciate his dedication to playing weird little guys.
Yes. If you want a weird
Despite
little guy in
being as
Hollywood,
conventionally attractive as
yeah,
he has gone full like I want to be weird little guys.
yeah, I will be every weird little
Um,
guy in film, please.
he is excellent in The Great.
Oh.
Um, it is a comedy about Catherine the Great, and he plays her husband.
Oh, good. And he's a weird little guy.
Um, he is a weird little himbo.
Excellent.
Like
Excellent.
uh, he because since he's the king of Russia,
Yep.
um, everyone caters to all of his weird whims. So they're very good at like, it's not that he's terrible, it's just since he is the Prince of Russia, like people do whatever he wants and that
Mhm.
lets his weirdness get weirder.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um on top of it being Russia.
Yeah. And Russia of that era, which was a double whammy of like, okay,
Yeah.
shit's gonna get weird.
Like when Catherine is conspiring to overthrow him, there's a part where he has to have like a yearly update from all his lords.
Mhm.
And so to get the lords to not like him, um, they have to make him rather than like do some conspiracy stuff to like spread rumors or whatever. They just know the exact right things to say to him to have him act like a complete weirdo and embarrass the lords. So on the one hand, it's kind of terrible what he is doing to people, but also it's not out of malice, it's about the way his weird mind works.
Yeah.
Like one of the things is one of the people he's about to talk to is a general in his army, and his war advisor says like before the guy comes in says that man has the largest testicles I've ever seen. And then this guy's character is like, what, really? He goes, they're the size of cantaloupes. So when the general comes in to give his like formal report,
Yep.
this guy's character is like, drop your pants. Because he wants to see the giant testicles because
Yes.
he's curious. But that is also humiliating and would get the general on their side.
Yes.
Um, so he's a weird himbo. Is kind of his energy.
Excellent. Excellent.
And there's a part where like since he's the king, he's obviously been fucking all the ladies in his court.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and when Catherine in like the first episode, she goes to um have sex with him basically because she's like, why aren't we sharing a room? Like we're supposed to be married.
Yeah.
But she like shows up and he like pokes his head under the covers and then she drops her robe and he's like, oh, very nice. And then he lifts up the cover and goes, scoot over, and tells the girl he's already sleeping with like that his wife is going to join them. And it's
He's like, well, actually, this'll do. You'll do.
yeah, not a will do, or he was like cool and then like threesome time.
Right.
Like um not realizing that his wife walking in on him sleeping with another lady is maybe a thing that would be frowned upon, like
Yeah. Yeah. Say by some sort of Orthodox church.
yeah.
Yeah.
um Anyway, so he's a good weird little guy in the great.
Excellent.
um I also on Netflix watched the Watership Down
Oh,
miniseries.
how was that?
It's okay, the animation's kind of so-so.
Mm.
um it has more stuff from the book in it. So
Yeah. Yeah. I'd heard that, and I enjoyed the books.
yeah, so um it's worth checking out. Just no, the animation is not 100% there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of animation that's on Netflix, where the animation isn't 100% there, I am watching the latest season of Dragon Prince, and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's a thing. Um, the weird part is the writing has always been quite good in that show, and it feels very stilted
Yeah.
this season. Like I really
I
enjoyed the sort of Avatar: The Last Airbender-esque. There's adventures, and they're definitely it's aimed at kids, but there's also like a nice
mhm.
coherent story that's a little serious behind things. Whereas
I think they've
this season feels
always
more.
been a little bit stilted with their writing because there's stuff like there was that council scene in I forget, I think the second season, which is just a bunch of like exposition on how the queen died and how they found the dragon
Yeah,
egg.
yeah, yeah.
Um and like
It kind of didn't need to be that long or exposition-y.
it didn't need to be that long, and also it's like we need you to now suddenly care about this little girl who
Yeah.
like doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
um
Yeah, so I've been enjoying it up until now, but this season's definitely the roughest for both writing and animation. I'm like, okay, cool. Somebody's budget got slashed. They're
I
probably glad
still
that it
think
still
season
got
one's
made.
animation is rougher than the current
It
season's
is, but
animation.
I will give it a pass for being the first season and they were still working their shit out.
Yeah.
And also technologically
The
they were still working their shit out, but now it's like, okay, no, this is a jump backwards. This is a problem.
the thing that they got me, that the thing that sort of bothered me this season is, so I don't know why the trans character is there. Not as
Yeah.
in why have a trans character period.
No.
I mean like that trans character who seems like a very nice and kind person.
Mhm.
Why are they helping the bad guys? Like
I mean,
it
I
seems
I get from a writer's room perspective why that character is there because they're like, right, we did a thing where Claudia was like a relatable character in earlier seasons, and we don't want her to be just 100% outright evil. So we need a foil who's there and lighthearted
mhm
and we want to like, because we want to like her, but she's still
mhm.
cast as the villain in this season. So it's like to try and
Yeah.
humanize her a little bit with this like cute trans boyfriend who's just
Yeah,
such an idiot. I love him.
but I'm just like, we've seen Claudia like kill animals
Yeah.
to make spells happen,
Mhm.
and I feel like I don't believe that cute trans boyfriend is on board with all that.
Yeah, I feel like also we needed a little bit more. They just hand waved him and her relationship. But
And I
it
think
would
I wouldn't
feel more
mind that.
impactful if we saw a little bit more about like how she got to where she was. Like
I
obviously,
I
yeah,
don't
dark magic.
mind I don't mind the time skip. I
Yeah.
think it's more just like cute trans boyfriend being so innocent
Yeah.
is what was tripping me up, because if he was like happy, cute, and friendly, and then it turns out was very the end justifies the means,
Yeah.
like
Well, and they brought
that would
in
be
some of the other.
more interesting, and also make it so that it's understandable why they're okay with Claudia killing all of the animals for spells.
Yeah.
And then you can still have the moment of that thing you did with the coins is cruel.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, they
like,
kind of try to set up the Earth elves as being slightly more feral than the other elves, but they didn't
mm-hmm.
sell it enough to make him make sense with being like, yeah, I'm cool with you killing animals. That's fine.
Yeah, so I feel like if he had been a little bit more end justifies the means, but then was anti you taking pleasure in it is the line that you should not cross,
Yeah.
that would have made more sense to me.
It
Whereas he
also,
is just so doe-eyed and innocent that it's
yes.
like,
Yeah.
why are you here?
100%. Also, it undermines the big moment where he has to kill somebody.
Mhm.
Like you're like, okay, I get it. I get that you want to keep him doe-eyed and innocent so that that moment hits harder, but it kind of doesn't fit with other things. It's like they had two different things that they needed that character to do, and they didn't
Yeah.
really uh not amalgamate. They didn't marry the two well.
Yeah.
Love the
But
design
I'm
though.
glad he's there.
Love the big dramatic moment where he's like, "Look at my powers! I'm going to make this trans flag colored flower bloom, just in case there was in any doubt that I'm indeed a trans
Yeah.
character. Hello, how's it going? If my binder
Um,
was not enough of a clue."
Funny story about binders.
Hmm.
Someone I know um was talking about binders and got overheard by an older cis man
Mm.
and thought they were talking about Lisa Frank binders.
Although I would
Uh,
love
no, that was my immediate
Lisa
reaction.
Frank
I would love
colored
a Lisa
binder.
Frank designed binder like that. Like someone needs to get on that.
Someone give us just the gayest shit. Just so rainbow colored, dewy eyed animals,
like I would
please.
not wear it, but I do want it to exist.
Yeah. I would not buy it if
I'm
Lisa Frank made
very
it because of the like history of exploitation of artists, but like I want someone else to do that style and make $1 million off of it.
yeah. I still would not wear it because I am of the don't like bright colors.
Hmm. I think
Uh,
I wouldn't wear it on a daily basis because it would be
yeah.
very obvious under shirts, but I would wear it to the Pride Parade. I'd be like, this is all I'm
Yeah.
wearing, y'all. This and my
Um,
rainbow skirt. So, it was Rainbow Skirt Day a couple weeks ago, which is a brand new thing in Canada because there was a girl who wore an Indigenous girl who wore a rainbow skirt to her school's formal dress day, and she got in big trouble for it because they're like, "This isn't formal dress. You're supposed to wear, our colonized ideas of what formal wear is." And so she decided to make a day about it to like raise awareness of Native culture in Canada. All super awesome, super great. I support the day. However, uh, in Native culture, it's been really a thing lately where elders are really pushing this like, if you want to take part in ceremony, it's all been super gendered. Um,
oh,
and there's some people who are like, yeah, but was it always this super gendered though? Maybe we should have a conversation about that. But B, like, if you are AFAB to even take part in ceremony, there's some elders who are like, you better be wearing your ribbon skirt, like, or a skirt in general. And you're like, what if I
No.
don't like feminine clothing and it doesn't feel right to me? Part of our culture and traditions is also that everyone gets to decide what is right for them. So, like, you're quoting tradition at me, but you're denying one of the central tenets of it. I don't think so, y'all. Let's have a discussion about this. So I didn't wear a ribbon skirt to ribbon skirt day. But my sister, who had this conversation with,
Mhm.
went out of her way to find me an alternative. And there's apparently a store, and I'm trying to remember the name of it right now, run by a Two Spirit native person who makes like native friendly queer wear, which is great. So the ribbon skirt from that collection is like a non binary ribbon skirt. So it's not a skirt, it's like a band that goes around your waist with ribbons hanging down from it. But you can also wear
Oh,
it as like
cool.
a cape. And I'm like, this is the gayest shit, and I'm wearing it to Pride because this is fucking awesome. A ribbon
Cool.
cape in rainbow colors is just very queer culture. I love it.
Good, good.
Yeah. So I'm glad my sister went and did that for me. It's a cool present.
Um, I fell down a YouTube hole because trans YouTuber made a 10-hour long video about Harry Potter.
Good.
Um, so I watched all of that, and then I watched a bunch of their other videos, which were fortunately not all 10 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was surprised to learn, but like after I thought about it, I was like, oh yeah, they are probably right. That when Always Sunny started, it oddly enough had the best trans representation of American sitcoms at the time.
Huh.
Um, Despite using the T slur in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
episodes with their trans character, because um, it's a trans lady and she's played by a woman, not a
Mm-hmm.
man.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and while it's not a trans woman, like the fact that they had a woman play the trans woman is points in their favor.
Mm-hmm.
Then when Mac, who is flirting with her, finds out that she's trans, he says, "You lied to me," and starts to go do that sort of transphobic argument. And she replies with, "Well, you lied to me too." And he's like, "What? When?" And she goes, "Saying you don't go to the gym. I've seen you there all the time." Like, um, and diffuses the argument by appealing to his vanity.
Huh.
And then later on, he is hiding the fact that he's dating her from his friends.
Mm-hmm.
And she is mad at him for not um, wanting to go out and have dates and whatnot. And he says that he doesn't want to because he's embarrassed. Um, so she rightfully threatens to break up with him, and he is
Yep.
painted as unreasonable for saying that and doing that thing.
Good. Good.
Um, there is a part while they are out on a date where she punches him slightly too hard, and then he punches her back way too hard. And some random like construction workers are like, "That guy's hitting his girlfriend," and threaten to beat him up. And Mac replies with, "No, no, no. I, it's not what you think. She has a penis." And then the construction workers go, "Is that a hate crime?" "Yes, it is." And then they beat him up anyway. Um,
Good.
so um, that was airing around the same time that like Family Guy and How I Met Your Mother are still doing the gay panic
Yeah.
transphobic
Yeah. Yeah.
storylines.
Yeah. Oh, oh no, a man in a
Um,
dress. Oh no.
and
What
then the
if the
last
person I'm
time,
dating is actually trans? Oh no.
yeah, and then the
Come
last
on,
time
y'all.
she shows up is the actress who was playing Dee got pregnant in real life, so they needed to have a reason for Dee to be pregnant.
Mm.
Um, and uh, the whole time she doesn't tell them what. why she's pregnant. So they're trying to figure out who the dad is. Um, and it is revealed that she rented herself out to be a surrogate for the trans lady and her husband. Um, and she just didn't tell the rest of the gang because she didn't want to share the money with them.
Makes sense.
Um, so the trans lady's last episode is being given a child, and the gang acknowledging, it's probably good that none of these guys are the father of Dee's baby, and it's not even Dee's baby because
Yeah,
everyone here would be awful parents, and they'll
it's
be
for the
great
best that D
parents.
is not raising this child.
Yeah, that Dee and none of the drug addicts that she slept with are raising
Yes,
this
yes,
baby.
this is for the best.
Yeah, the baby is better off with this trans lady and her husband.
Oh man, have you seen Russian Doll season 2?
No, I've not watched it yet.
Okay, no, I will not mention anything then because there's a very good moment.
I'll watch it eventually. I also don't care about spoilers, so you can go ahead and
I
spoil the
guess.
shit out
All
of it.
right. Hey, anybody who hasn't watched Russian Doll season 2, tune out for half a second. There's a scene in
No.
there where the main character uh, um, is working through some shit, and anyway, through a long series of back and forth, she winds up with an infant version of herself, and she's
Mhm.
like, "Here's my plan. Being raised by my mom fucked me up real good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna time travel back to my own time where my gay friends live, and then I'm gonna be raised by my lesbian best friends, who I trust intimately with a child. Like they are the best parents I could think of. Yeah, and I just love that as a concept. This like, my mom
Yeah.
fucked me up so bad that the best thing I can do is entrust myself to my best friends. You can't do a worse job.
Yeah. She's very fucked up, so
Yeah, it's oh god, it's such a fun concept for a season. I didn't know how they were gonna top the first season because I was like, you can't. Like that was a high concept sort of thing. Where are you going to go from here? But they brought it.
um
So worth
other
watching.
highlights other highlights of this trans YouTuber. There's apparently trans characters in My Hero Academia that I completely missed because I
What?
don't read the character profiles in the manga.
Oh,
Um uh and through these trans characters there is actually some interesting commentary about passing and money.
fascinating.
Like because have you read or seen any My Hero Academia?
I have watched the first 2 seasons.
Did they go train with the pussycat ladies?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so the big buff pussycat
Yeah.
is a trans dude
Oh, okay.
um who passes because part of their quirk is that they can change their like muscle mass and structure.
Huh.
Um, so they have the fortune of like their quirk will help with their dysphoria, and also because they're a superhero, they're ridiculously wealthy.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Um, so then one of the League of Villains is apparently a trans woman. Um, and I didn't realize she was a trans woman because she does not pass at all. Um, and her backstory slash reason for joining the League of Villains is that like no one is accepting her for who she is.
But the villains are like, we don't give
Um
a shit. Do you want to do evil with us?
yeah,
Hell
and the
yeah.
villains are the only ones that don't give a shit, and so she's like in poverty. Part of why she can't pass is because she doesn't have the funds to do anything that would help her pass. And because she is insistent um on being referred to as she, her pronouns. Society is rejecting her, and
Right.
only the villains are accepting her. And
Good.
it's like,
Yeah.
um,
villains always be queer coded, so villains gonna accept you no matter what your gender identity is. There you go.
Uh, but yeah, and the apparently like this is just for the most part, at least the part I was reading, they only tell you this stuff in the little in between chapter profile things. Uh, and it isn't until the trans lady dies that in the manga that it is put forth in manga like that she's trans.
Gotcha.
But it's interesting, like, even though it doesn't dig into it, it's some interesting commentary on like passing and whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
whether intended to or not. You have the wealthy person passes and is therefore accepted by society, whereas the poor person doesn't pass and doesn't
Mm-hmm.
get accepted.
Fascinating.
Um, but yeah, like I had completely missed that that was there because I also
You
haven't
mean
read
the
like yeah, I also
side
haven't looked
notes?
at My Hero Academia stuff for a while because I got bored.
Mm-hmm. Start watching other stuff.
Yeah, I've been watching Chainsaw Man, which is
Hell
great.
yeah. I have not started watching
As
that
I've
one yet,
shown
but it is
you,
on my list
yeah,
because
as
everyone
I've
is
shown
like,
you,
"Fuck yes, this is so good."
he gets to hug a penguin.
Yep, that's so cute. It's a real cute penguin.
Yeah.
Uh, I have also been watching Severance. I've powered through it on my own. I finally got tired of waiting for my partner to be like, "I'm finally ready to start watching Severance," and I'm like, "Look, I started. I got 3 episodes in. I need to know what happens. I'm watching this on my own. I'll
I
watch it again with
It's
you."
good shit.
Oh God,
It's
it's
good
such good
shit.
shit. I am not done it yet. I am on episode 7 out of 9,
What
so shit is just getting really real.
um what is the current status of Christopher Walken's character?
Christopher Walken is just about to retire.
Okay.
They just had the moment where not Isaac. Isaac, is that his name? The older guy in the office.
Yeah, I don't remember
Irving.
anyone's names.
Irving.
Yeah,
They
Irving.
just had the
Okay.
moment where Irving comes back and is like, "We're burning this place to the ground." And I'm like, "Fuck yes, Irving's on board, y'all." Shit is about to get
Yeah.
serious.
Cuz his boyfriend's getting retired.
But killed basically. He
Yep.
will no longer be. He can no longer exist.
Yep.
Ah, it's so good. It's just like the acting and the cinematography. I cannot get enough of the cinematography in that show because it is shot and composed like a horror show. Like
Yeah.
it's horror tropes in all of the shots, and I love that deeply.
Mhm.
Like there's been a ton of shots where they'll like cut away to something, and I'm just like, ah, fuck, shit, this is unsettling. I love it deeply. Or they'll like linger on a shot that's like out of everything's kind of askew and there's darkness in at the corners, and you're like, this is just a normal office setting, sort of, but the lighting and the set dressing make it a horror movie
Yeah.
set. It's like the back rooms terrifying.
Yeah, I love it. I love all the cinematography. I love all the like um it's just good shit.
It's just real good shit. The writing is fucking tight.
I love the effect of uh Um, I love the effect of when they go in the elevator. Um,
Yes.
and I like that we don't learn about people's lives outside of the work because, like, Adam Scott's character doesn't know what their lives are outside of work.
Yeah, exactly. And like the little bit that you do get to know, you're just like, oh, that's fascinating. I want to know more about that character. But it's all relevant to stuff that he then finds out later in
Mhm.
character. And you're like, good, excellent. It's very focused on him. I also really love his dumbass brother in law and his self help book becoming like a relevant plot point.
Yeah.
I was like, oh
And I
shit.
think
Oh, this is
it's
great.
also good because it's like they're not allowed to have any outside media,
Mm-hmm.
so it makes sense that they would latch on to this, like, in their minds, subversive,
Yeah.
piece of literature.
Where it's just the dumbest shit in our world. You're like, oh god, this book's not gonna sell at all. But they
You don't
have
know,
no effect on their lives.
a lot of self-help books, like,
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not writing off his book just yet. It seemed like a lot of people came to his premiere.
Yeah.
Um,
He got some advance copies too. That's pretty good. I like an advance copy.
um, but yeah, I love that show. What's
So
fun
good.
is last week I was watching The Batman,
Oh yeah?
and Irving's in that
Is he?
as a
Nice.
horrible gang leader.
Excellent.
Um, and Catwoman's secret dad.
Good.
Uh, it's like Catwoman is like his illegitimate child with his mistress.
Mm. Old Selena Kyle. Yeah, so I've been binging that. It's been very good.
It's some good shit.
Some good. It's the good shit. I finished a couple books.
Yeah,
I really, really
any good
enjoyed
ones?
reading Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, which is a really unwieldy title, but it makes sense in the book, by Gabrielle Zevin.
Um,
It's about a group of friends who found a video game studio together, which sounds very trite, but it's like not about the founding of the studio, it's more about what drives them to
how
do
does
so.
how does it relate to Macbeth?
It very much does. So one of the friends is a Shakespearean actor in high school, or not in high school, in college, where they all meet, and it becomes very relevant to his storyline. The Macbeth quote. Uh, yeah, it hits hard, that book. But Macbeth is very plot relevant to his the great tragedy of his life. It also does a thing where it I was very worried that it was going to have these two characters who are sort of the more main characters out of the three of them get together in like a very trite sort of way, and it never did. They are colleagues till the end, and I appreciate that because that's rarely something that people can leave alone, especially between a male and female character in that sort of genre of book. I was like, great, good. I do not want the female character who is like a video game designer in the early 2000s to get with either of her co-producers because like that's just a fucking problem. That would get her.
That's asking for your career to get ruined and your
Yeah.
ideas to be stolen.
Mm-hmm. And she's already struggled with that before in her career. So I'm like, oh God, I don't want that to be the solution to her career. I want her to stand on her own as a game designer because she's the actual programmer. She's the one who does like the bulk of the work. I was like, don't take that away from her. So that was a excellently written book.
Um,
Highly recommend it.
so that makes me think of Mythic Quest, which I've just finished the third season. And while the third season is not as good as the previous two seasons, I think Mythic Quest also does a good job of the programmer character lady and her main collaborator not hooking up.
Mm, good.
Um, and I appreciate that mostly because like he is someone who maybe he doesn't idolize Elon Musk, but he thinks of Musk as a peer.
Right.
Um, so he's sort of full of himself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then the programmer part, the coder part of their video game partnership, she is socially awkward and it's very a running joke is that she doesn't know how to like be a person period
Mm.
and so in this new season while she's programming he asks if he can get her anything and she asks for a buffalo chicken pizza from the gas station and he is absolutely flabbergasted by the fact that this exists and that she's going to willingly consume it
Yes, good.
and um and he tries to get her to like reform her diet because all she eats is junk food and to the point where it's like they have an intern in season 3 and who was like what do you need me to do she's like get me more skittles like um she is running off like candy and soda and other garbage
Right. He's like, this is a problem. This is a problem for your health.
yeah
This is
he's
not
like you're gonna
great.
die um and she's like no I have programming to do
I can't die while I'm
um
programming.
yeah and there's also a part where she's trying VR and there's something in her hair that like pushes against her when she puts on like the VR helmet.
Mm.
Um, and it's a candy that got stuck in her hair and she didn't notice. Like
Like, how long has
that's
that been there? Too long.
yeah,
Much too long.
yeah. Um, and then she eats it even though
Of
it's been
course.
in her hair for
No, of
who
course.
knows how long.
Look, it's still good. It's
Um,
still good.
yeah. I mean, it's
I
only
mean,
been in her hair. She knows where her hair's been.
that's true. I also can't talk. I was eating a bag of salted egg fish skin the other night while I was playing video games, and there was some random leaves in it. And I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'm eating this leaf." I don't know what it is. I don't know where it came from, but I'm gonna eat it. It smells good. It was supposed to be there. It was a curry leaf, and it tasted great.
Okay.
I'm very pleased with my choices. But I will just eat random leaves. There.
So yeah, so it makes sense why Elon Musk wannabe would not want to have a relationship with lady that occasionally randomly finds candy that have been in her hairs
Yes,
for
and then
God
eats it.
knows how long.
And it's like, hell yeah,
Yeah.
I'm up for eating this
Uh
object.
their relationship works because that is specifically not on the table.
Yeah.
Um
Whereas in this book, it's very clear from even the beginning, because you meet the two of them when they're children in the hospital, and that they come to love each other even as kids. They're like the best of friends, the closest of friends. And I love a book that's like, hey, you know, people can just be friends sometimes. It doesn't always have to be romantic. Like, that's great. And there's points where he or she at different times are like, I kind of wish that this could go into romance more. But she, of course, is like, it will never work. This like not
Mhm.
just on an individual basis, but like for our careers, we cannot date. It's this is not a good idea at all.
She's
Um,
smart.
yeah, she's been through some shit. She knows. And then there's near the end, he's like really sort of like, oh no, I've missed out on everything with you. I've ruined our lives. And she's like, no, you idiot. This hasn't like we can still make games together forever, and we're gonna let's make games until we die. And I
Good,
like that. I'm like, good. Be creative colleagues.
good, good.
That's a far more satisfying relationship for both of you. And I've now started on a book called Iron Widow, which is super super rad. Uh,
Yes, I've read it. It's
it's
great.
I fucking love it. It's I'm
Um,
halfway through and it's only getting radder.
the end was a little abrupt for me.
Mm,
Um, that was my main complaint is that like it's abrupt in a way that I like saw the supposed twist coming.
mm.
So but so like they present the twist and then the book is over and I kind of since there's going to be a sequel I kind of wish they had waited
On the
for like
twist.
figuring out that twist to be the inciting incident of book 2 rather than shoved into the first book's end.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
And that
Uh
is my main complaint.
oh, hey Casters and Castles. Thanks for the raid. I just glanced
Oh
over and
hey,
we're being raided. Rad. We're talking books, y'all.
hey, talking books, talking
Talking books.
Iron Widow.
For those of you who are not familiar with Iron Widow, I was gonna go into this next, but like, so imagine there's Mecca. It's like a based in Han China world where there are evil question mark things raiding all the time, and so they've built a great wall to keep them out. And to fight them, these monstrous things, they have to pilot giant mecha using the power of their ki. And the best ones are done if uh, uh, they have both yin and yang driving them, so they generally have men and women driving them. Except that's the ideal thing, and they're definitely not doing the ideal thing. Instead, they have subjugated women to the male pilots. And the male pilots are celebrated, and the female pilots are generally killed by the strain that's put on them during these fights. Uh, real cool world building.
I described it to someone that like Iron Widow's sci-fi setting is based off ancient China, the way Game of Thrones is based off the War of the Roses. So
Yeah. It's very
like
loosely based.
it's loosely based. You'll get some references
Yep,
if you know your history. But
but it's very loose.
it's yeah.
I do like a book about mecha pilots though. And I've read quite a few books now that are set in sort of China, and they
Hmm.
all do something slightly different, and I love them. I like a fictional China written by a female author who's like examining China's relationship to gender roles. It's fascinating things to
Yeah.
be said. Something I hope to examine from a native lens, not China, obviously, but like traditional native gender roles is something that I definitely want to bring up in my book that I am writing. My
What's your
YA
book about?
cyberpunk. It is a loose retelling of the Ayase myth, which is basically the closest analogy I can do is like the labors of Hercules, where there are a
Hmm.
bunch of different versions of it, but they all generally agree that, like, well, these are the labors that Hercules did, but different tellers will
Yeah.
tell the different labors in different ways or different orders or etc. So there's lots of different versions of the Ayase myth, also known as Ayash, because
Hmm.
again, different names. It's like a Cree Algonquin. I think there's a Lakota-esque version of it, sort of generally plains-ish. But the version I know goes by Ayase. And so it's the labors of Ayase are all sort of translated into cyberpunk in my book. So there's one bit of the story where Ayase is beset by two old witches who have blades springing from their elbows, and he has to trick them into fighting each other so that he can escape. Obviously, super easy to transform elbow blades into a cyberpunk thing. They're
Hmm.
still elbow blades. They're just, cyberpunk. So yeah, I basically at the start of last year was like reading a lot of alternate history, um, fantasy and sci-fi stories from different cultures, and I was like, I want to do this with native culture. This would be a fun thing to examine, and then also was freshly in the wrapped up in my obsession with Cyberpunk 2077, and I was like, I'm gonna write a cyberpunk novel. Fuck yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I am just about 48,000 words deep into that one. And I will hit novel length once I hit about 60,000. So I'm almost there. And I'm at a point in the writing where it's actually starting to, like, the whole story's really taking shape. I can see where it's going to go. So I just need to fill in the bits and then go back and rewrite everything so it doesn't suck. Well, rewrite bits of it.
Yeah. Multiple drafts.
Exactly. There's a
Um,
great Terry Pratchett quote, something to the effect of, like, the first draft is just like a messy young boy, and then you come back and you trim and you dress him up and something something, and then the final draft is you basically go back through it one last time, straighten his hair, straighten his tie, and send him out the door. You don't think about him again. And then he's on his own in the world.
um, so one of my Patreon tiers is someone can buy a cameo
Oh, cool.
for when there's crowd scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And I had someone recently back the tier who uh is finally not a middle-aged white guy with a beard. Because like I've had three people get that
You gotta
level
you gotta
before,
stretch your character
and
design chops.
they look so similar that when I put them in a crowd, someone asked me if two of the guys were twins, and it's like,
You're like,
no,
no.
they're just both white guys with
Look,
beards.
my readers are a
And this,
demographic, y'all.
yeah, or at least the ones with money are.
Mm.
Um,
I did that for a couple of my Kickstarter rewards on various books. And then just before the last book went to print, I had somebody contact me who had transitioned, and she was like, I don't know if you can update my name or anything, but I understand if it's too late. I just don't want to be dead named in the book. And I was like, honey, it hasn't gone to print yet. I will draw you a whole new face. Send me your updated
mhm,
photo. And she was like, oh my God, thank you so much.
good,
Yeah, like you emailed me in the nick of time, so I will do this for you.
yeah. Fortunately, my cameo people aren't named; they're just drawings of them. So, even if that does happen, just next time there's a crowd scene, the new them can be in it. Like,
Yeah. This was also like this because it was me publishing my archives from ages ago, so it was like, hey, so this is like years back now. uh, I don't look like that anymore. It's like, I totally get it. I totally get it. But I want to not be contributing to your dysphoria in any way. So if I can help out, let me know, and I will. Man, these pages are really, I'm having a both fun and a hard time trying to get just how scary blizzards are. Because this is the big storm where the main character gets lost. And I have walked through a blizzard before, and it is terrifying.
yeah.
Like, it is
Um,
so hard to see, and you think you know where you're going, and then you, like, something will loom out of the white, and you're like, oh, I am nowhere near where I thought I was.
that's how one of the kids die, and you're the chosen one.
Oh, cool.
Um,
In a blizzard.
yeah, they fall into a crevasse that
Mm,
they can't see because it's a blizzard.
yeah. Don't walk around in blizzards, y'all. Real fucking scary.
And they were warned that a storm was coming by the witch in training,
But
and they did not listen.
they had a destiny to go fulfill.
Yeah, and so they wandered off into the blizzard
Well,
and
don't do that.
died.
Don't do that.
They got their horse killed too.
Oh, poor horse.
Nah, horses are terrible.
Horses are exactly what they are meant to be, which is prey animals, which makes them maybe a poor choice to ride around on.
They're terrible.
They are like, would you ride a deer? No, that's a terrible idea. We've decided that we can do that with horses for some reason.
The reason is because they did not impale themselves on fences when we tried to domesticate them.
Well, also they have a social structure that makes them susceptible to us putting ourselves at the top of it and them going, sure, good enough.
Yeah, I read a book that was about the history of domesticating animals, and that was the thing I found the most fun is like all the animals that we domesticate successfully. Um, they when they panic, they most of them freeze rather than like
Mm-hmm.
try to get away at all costs.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Some of them
and
just go nuts. Some of them just lose their minds, though.
the other thing is, we live longer than all of them, so
Yes.
like we have to be able to watch multiple generations.
Yeah.
Um, and also, they're not shy about having sex in front of us.
Yes.
Um, we failed to domesticate cheetahs because they would not have sex in front of
Yeah.
us. And I just think of cheetahs being like, "Don't look, you weirdo!
I am busy here. Gross.
Don't look! What are you doing, you weirdo? Gross!
Humans are
Get away
gross.
from me!" Yeah.
In Tuca and Birdie, I really like that her across the street neighbor is a bird watcher who's just like this giant fucking creep who's like, oh yes, the brown finch is or the whatever the speckled finch because that's what speckle is doing
Mhm.
a very delightful mating dance tonight. The female seems uninterested. It's like you're a weirdo. You're a weirdo creeping on these birds. Oh wait, that's what I do. Oh hell. I'm like, oh, some very interesting mating behavior among these birds that I'm staring at through binoculars. Nope, too much. Too much. Maybe not enough. Blizzards, y'all.
They're bad.
They're very bad. They're very
Don't
scary.
go out in them if you can help it.
Yep. You may die. That's good.
Have you
Yeah, I'm gonna check
seen
the
A
list.
Young Doctor's Notebook?
No.
It is a miniseries that stars Daniel Radcliffe being a weird little guy and John
Perfect.
Hamm.
I also admire
Um,
his dedication to being just a weird little guy in all the films now. Daniel Radcliffe. It's like I
yeah.
want to be a weird little dude in whatever you will cast me in.
Um, and so the plot is that John Hamm's character is older Daniel Radcliffe's character, looking back at his first job as a doctor, fresh out of medical school, which is in rural Russia during the Russian Revolution.
Oh, fascinating.
Um, but it's so rural, like that you would not know that the revolution is happening.
Right,
Like,
right, right.
um, uh, and the a lot of the humor slash conflict comes from he's fresh out of medical school, and has to and knows all these like up to date medical processes, whereas these folks in this remote area of Russia don't know and don't necessarily care
Yeah.
um,
Like, why would
about
I?
his newfangled treatments.
Hmm.
Like
When what they've done has worked for them for generations.
he comes in and a guy comes in and wants to get cough drops because his throat hurts, and the old doctor would just give him cough drops. And Daniel Radcliffe examines him and determines that he has syphilis,
Ah,
and is like, "You need to have such and such medical treatment." And he's
yeah.
like, "Can't
No.
you just give me the cough drops?"
Yeah, that was working.
Like,
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It would temporarily make things
it's
a little bit
it's
better. No, it was working. It
it's
was
like
good.
the coffee drops are not going to help you not have syphilis. And he's
Yeah.
like, "But my throat hurts. Just give me the cough drops."
And then I can
Like,
go about my business.
um, and it's implied that like the doctor before him just gave up, and that's why he just treated people's symptoms rather than what they actually had.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, because spoiler alert, most of the nearby village has syphilis.
Gotcha.
And yeah, it goes on stuff like that, and like um how just like he goes a bit stir crazy because it's in the middle of nowhere.
Hmm.
And there's also some storylines that are like a pregnant lady tried to get to him in a blizzard because she was in labor,
Right.
but the blizzard started when she was already halfway to the doctor's office. So it's not like she went out
Yeah, yeah.
during the blizzard. It's just that's how long it takes to get to the doctor's office.
Hmm.
But yeah, you talking about blizzards made me think of it.
Blizzards. Real scary.
Blizzards also make me think of that comic page, which is some superheroes traveling in a blizzard, and it is just white.
Good.
And the comic artist did get paid for quote unquote drawing.
Drawing that page.
Yes.
Good. All right. I got two pages of superheroes in a blizzard. Perfect. Ideal.
Oh, I think it was more than two. I think it was like half the issue. That's a great scam.
That's where you talk to your editor and you're like, look, I don't know I'm gonna be able to turn in anything this month. Or your writer and your
No, I
writer's
think
like,
he
I
also
gotta.
wrote the issue, so I think this was the plan from the
Good.
start, that
Good.
he was going to see how much he could get away with,
Excellent.
um, and still get paid his full page rate.
And they're like, well, as long as it's not more than half of the book. And he's like, perfect.
Yeah.
I will do slightly less than half. I did like the one sequence in the Dragon Prince where they were like, "Uh-oh, we have to go into this mysterious dark cave with all of these really big monsters, but we can't have the lights on, so it'll be pitch black." Good. It's like that's how they save on some animation budget. Well done.
I really like the design for the Earth Dragon.
Hmm. It's very cool. I like the Earth Kingdom generally. They got some cool designs going on.
Yeah. I like the Earth Dragon when he's like getting ready to breathe fire. Like it's like lava flowing up him.
Yeah.
Uh
Nope. Okay, I just got the most Lane email ever, or a text ever.
yeah.
For those of you who are not familiar, my partner is named Lane, and he's super into a bunch of things. One of which is ships. But he's also not the sort of guy who will text me this. I just got a text that was like, "I just saw the most beautiful woman," and I was like, what?" And then he sends me a picture of a tall ship all lit up with like Christmas lights in the harbor.
Oh.
I was like, "Oh, great!" And he's like, "She's so stunning. I love her." Which, if you know Lane,
Um
is basically the lamest possible text I could have gotten at that moment.
um I've also been rewatching BoJack Horseman,
Good,
and
good.
that reminded me of when he gets the ship, the Escape from LA.
Oh yeah.
Um
And then he goes and
and
lives in his
uh
ex's yard, and it's real fucked up.
well, when his ex's husband asks, "What are you gonna name her?" and he goes, "You mean the ship, which is definitely an inanimate object and not a her?"
Yes.
Um, and and his ex's husband keeps going, "Oh yeah, she's a beauty." Like, and he
Yep,
goes,
yep.
"Again, the ship, which is an inanimate
Inanimate
object,
object.
and has no gender in any way."
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Also, a friend of mine sent me a video, which is a YouTuber she likes reacting to, of all things, Ben Shapiro playing Minecraft.
What?
Um, and he does not understand it and does not understand the appeal of it and was basically forced to play it on air by his producer. Um, and he just completely baffled by the appeal makes jokes like, I thought graphics were supposed to be better than they were when I played games in the 80s.
Oh, sir.
Like, yeah, it is amusing in just how much he does not understand.
About
Um,
just so much. About just so
yeah.
much. This.
Also, I don't know if you saw this online, but he made a movie that cost him over $70 million, and it
Ooh.
made $800 total.
Oh, I did not see that. But I think I saw somebody somewhere who were just like, good, excellent.
Um, and then
Because they were like, Ben Shapiro loses a shit ton of money. And I'm like, excellent. That's what I like to hear first
yeah,
thing in the
and you
morning.
didn't know how,
I
but
didn't know
but
how,
now
but
you
I.
know. It's
Good.
because he made a movie, and here is the most delicious part. His fan base hates it for being too woke.
Ben, when you get so woke?
Because there's a female lead. It stars the lady who was kicked off Star Wars for being a turf.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and
Gina, what's her fuck?
yeah, and so like all the reviews are like, if I wanted this feminist nonsense, I'd be watching Disney movies or something like that. Like,
Oh, eat shit, Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
Good. Good.
Um, and also, a YouTuber I like, Sophie from Mars, made a very interesting video that is tangentially related to Ben Shapiro, but is more about Kanye West.
Ah.
Um, and not about Kanye specifically, like what's going on with him. It's
Mm-hmm.
more looking at like how the alt-right right now is using Kanye to boost themselves into the more of the mainstream. Like these are guys who have mostly been um like most people know who Alex Jones is.
Yeah.
Um they're like if you need to go more right than Alex Jones for your
Jesus.
political commentary, guys. Um so one of
Not
them is
recommended,
just
y'all.
yeah, yeah, no.
Just so we're clear on
So
that.
one of them is this guy who is a flat out neo-Nazi.
Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
And he has sort of latched on to Kanye to make himself more famous and more like be more in the mainstream alt-right.
Uh,
Um and but part of his strategy is that he needs to cut out conservative Jews in the alt-right, like Ben Shapiro. So to specifically,
Jesus
he's
Christ.
trying to use Kanye to diminish Ben Shapiro and get himself um, more the focus.
Whew. I hate this
Um,
cyberpunk novel that we are living in.
yeah.
It's real
Um,
fucked up. I don't like it. Don't approve. My novel's gonna be much better.
uh,
Because it won't be just
so,
reality. Jesus Christ.
so it was interesting in a like watch out for these things to change in right wing talking points,
Right, right, right.
and like what to be aware of. Um, because like the prominence of folks like Ben Shapiro is George Bush's version of right wing. Talked a lot and pushed a lot of Judeo Christian values, trying to unite conservative Jews with conservative Christians in Islamophobia.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
we don't have, since it's been so long since 9/11, that isn't working as well as it used to anymore.
Yeah.
Um, so that's why Kanye having his meltdown, and then this guy jumping on that as a way to become more flat out Nazi, basically,
Mm-hmm.
um, than it was before. It sort of seems to be like the move that alt right pundits are going for. Um,
Blah.
and the only reason why it won't work is if someone else comes along and does it better than them, or if it doesn't work entirely.
Yeah.
Because it seems like they might be they might not be going as hard on trans issues as they were planning because that's not working in America
Yeah.
as well as they want.
Yeah.
Um,
It's all so
since
fucking calculated. Like they know what they're
yeah,
doing. There's like two
yeah,
kinds. There's the ones who are the idiots who've totally drunk the Kool-Aid, hook, line, and sinker. They've been in there. And like Kanye falls under this. They specifically were like, here is a black man who's already got some questionable views. Let's be palsy with him and recruit him on board here. And then there are those who are like setting the agenda, and they're all really fucking
well, so
like
Sophie makes
clinical
the
about
point that you
this.
have
Like,
so Sophie makes a point that you have your grifters like
mm-hmm,
Alex Jones
mm-hmm,
that are gonna just go whichever way the wind blows.
mm-hmm.
Um, but like the Nazi guy that has attached himself to Kanye,
Yeah.
um, he is better at politics than Kanye or Trump or other big right wing people.
Mhm.
Um, and um, so like if he does this successfully, that will actually be more dangerous because
Yes. Yeah.
um, he is a true believer in Nazism and isn't a complete idiot.
Yeah.
So unlike, because part of why Trump could have done a lot more damage if
Mhm.
he wasn't a narcissist.
Yeah.
Um, and so this is like if this guy does successfully use Kanye to catapult himself into the mainstream, he could do a lot of damage very quickly.
Yeah. Because he is not an idiot,
Yeah.
but also
Um,
very cynical and clinical about the things he has to say and do and the people he needs to talk to.
well, so the thing that he's doing specifically with Kanye is Kanye already said a lot of anti-Semitic shit.
Yep.
So all he has to do is push Kanye to get more and more attention,
Uh-huh.
which
And
isn't hard
Kanye
because
was
Kanye's
specifically
already
targeted because
famous.
he's got a huge following.
Yeah, and also um, he wants to. He's going on a lot of shows with Kanye.
Yeah.
So that way, when one of these grifter guys pushes back a little bit on anti Semitism and Kanye can't answer because he doesn't know the politics as well,
Mhm.
this guy can jump in and say a bunch of anti Semitic arguments
Yeah.
um, and argue his case for anti Semitism, basically.
Mhm.
Um,
Because Kanye's just gonna
and
ramble a bunch of shit.
yeah.
He needs
Um,
a handler.
yeah, and so like Sophie points out that specifically there are some bits in this interview that Kanye did where he says things slightly wrong. So
Mhm.
it seems like he maybe read or was told an anti-Semitic thing
Mhm.
and is
But is
repeating
like
it, not
misquoting
quite
it.
knowing what it means. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No,
Um,
he's definitely been fed some lines that he is now regurgitating.
yeah. Well, and he believes because like these people are all up in his grill.
Oh, for sure. Well,
And part,
and there is like a
yeah,
conversation to be had about anti-Semitism in black culture, in rap culture, in
yeah,
just
like,
but being fed as part of this like from rich people culture. Like
mhm.
it's all part of the colonization process. These attitudes of
Yeah.
othering
So,
and like
and part of what made Sophie's video really interesting and good, in my opinion, is Sophie brought on a black YouTuber, FT Signifier, who makes great
mm,
videos, and specifically made two videos about Kanye before Kanye went off the rails.
yeah, and was like, look, this is
So
something to be
they
aware
are
of.
very,
Like,
so he is very familiar with Kanye specifically.
yeah,
Um, and then he interviewed, uh, and so then you have FD Signifier. He's done like his Kanye videos. He's interviewed a bunch of other black YouTubers. And so he has a good perspective of that sort of
hmm
the anti-Semitism that exists in black culture.
well, and like
And
it's
then so
so insidious as part of the dominant culture because like
yeah,
there's a lot of anti-blackness in Native culture that comes
yeah,
directly from colonization and colonization
yeah,
period, where like especially in certain areas it was uh when the Spanish came there was differently casted folks, so like the black cast folks were less good than native cast, even though all of them were like below the white and Spanish settlers.
mm-hmm,
It was better to be half native half black than to be black. So like
mm-hmm,
if you have a culture that's starting from that, of course that anti-blackness is going to transfer into today, to say
mm-hmm,
nothing of, just, hey, so you were colonized by, these people who came in and said this, you're going to start believing that and having it as part of your culture. So like this is
Yeah,
a thing
and
to be aware of
so
in a whole
so
bunch of different
yeah.
cultures. Is
And
anti-blackness,
so then
anti-Semitism,
um
anti-indigenous sentiments,
yeah.
etc.
And so then Sophie, she then interviewed Lady Night the Brave,
Mm,
who's a Jewish YouTuber. Um and so got like some good bits of both of interviews with both of them to talk about it from different points of views, while Sophie mostly she stayed in what is her expertise, which is following whatever nonsense the alt-right are saying.
right.
um
Whew.
um and following the trends that also happen within the alt-right spaces.
It's fascinating because you really can do that. Like there's people who are like, yeah, I'm in the community, like I'm in the Reddits. I can see them sort of strategizing about, well, this messaging isn't working. Here's what we got to try next.
Yeah. Um, and yeah, so it's like they the transphobia did not give them the red wave they thought they were going to
Yeah.
get.
Yeah.
So they need to switch tactics, and Kanye is a convenient way to spread anti-Semitism because
Mhm.
he's already famous.
Mhm.
Um, and it's going to be like just how much do the other right wingers jump on, and they might even use Kanye as like a, you can say a lot of anti-Semitic stuff as long as you are less anti-Semitic than Kanye, kind of as a
Yeah.
bar.
Yeah, if he sets the upper limit, then you can get up to that, but at least you're not Kanye bad.
And so this neo-Nazi guy, it seems like, is trying to get Kanye's bar really high
Mhm.
while also
Cuz his brand is already ruined, so like
yeah.
you might as well push it even further.
Yeah, so
If you're just
and
fucking
while using
ruining
that
a man's
to make
life because he's an
him
idiot.
um he's also not well.
No, he's not, and
Yeah.
they are fucking preying on that.
So then there's so yeah, so this guy's using pushing Kanye more that way, and then also using that so he can basically outs Ben Shapiro and take Ben Shapiro's place in the
Jesus Christ.
mainstream alt-right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoo-wee. Ben Shapiro's brand is
Um
slipping. I could be the new brand of
well, it's not
fucknut.
even that his brand is slipping, it's more he wants to make Ben Shapiro irrelevant
Mhm.
by pushing something that specifically targets Ben Shapiro,
Mhm.
which is anti-Semitism. Um,
Yep.
and then he can, but so it also, like, I was talking to Spike about this, and it's like, yeah, the thing about like these conservative shitheads that our group the Nazis hated, they always think like they still count as white,
Mhm.
and until their time it turns out, oh wait, actually you don't anymore because you're not convenient anymore.
Yep. Yep.
um
Ah, it's a pretty good snowstorm. I'm pretty happy with this now.
what
I'm pretty happy with the snowstorm now. I think I'm gonna ask my colorist to do real muted colors on these, like keep everything super desaturated, because you're not supposed to see what's going on very much. But that should work pretty good, I think. Good, good blizzard. I think the cells. Pretty proud of this rope snapping. I had to study a lot of ropes fraying and coming apart. It is Lunar New Year this Sunday. And I'm going to have some folks over and we are going to do a hot pot. And I'm really looking forward to that.
You gonna do anything bunny themed?
I want to get the cute bunny dumplings from TNT's. I think they're red bean paste
Good,
in, so my vegetarian friend can enjoy them as well. But they are like little cute bunnies, and you put them in the steamer, and then you get little bunnies.
good, good.
Yeah.
Um, on Fridays, I had been ordering steamed buns from a Chinese bakery.
Good
Like I would get
call.
a couple of pork buns and then a red bean bun.
Nice.
And I got so annoyed they stopped making the red bean ones fresh.
Oh
Like
no.
like last week I got a red bean in a plastic wrapped thing and very clearly like we just bought a bunch of prepackaged ones. We're not making them anymore.
Here you go. They are friendly,
Um,
but delicious.
uh, but the prepackaged one, it was like the red bean paste was like weirdly crunchy and dried out in certain
Oh no.
sections, and I did
Yeah. Oh, I
ended
get
up
that.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ended up not finishing the bun, and I was like, I guess I'm only getting the pork ones from now on.
Ah, I like a good red bean bun.
Me too.
I got in all my manufacturing merchandising emails in the first week of January because I was like, it is an early Lunar New Year this year, so there's going to be a lot of people are going to be on vacation. I'm going to get all my quotes in for the merch I need for this year. I am doing new banners this year, which I'm really excited about. I don't have to set up those damn blue things anymore. That'll save me a ton of time for setup at cons.
That's good.
But I'm getting these big banners that ratchet up into place, and then I'll have Velcro material that goes over the front instead of like a big vinyl sign, so that I can put up my Velcro T-shirt signs. And I need them to be Velcro because my T-shirt designs change frequently. But also then I can take down the ones that I'm sold out of instead of having to like cover them up somehow. I just be like, nope, it's not even on the board. You can't buy it. I'm also getting my D20 plush remade this year because I am down to the last 200, no, not 200, 120 units, which I will sell probably at Emerald City. So I had to have a conversation with myself. I'm like, so do I even want to remake these? Yes, they're my best seller. But Wizards of the
Hmm.
Coast has started making some as well. And I'm like, well, I can't compete with Wizards of the Coast. Especially not at a show like Gen Con where they have like 2 or 3 um, booths
Different
along different.
sizes.
Well, no, they have two or
Oh,
three different booths. So like
oh okay.
split around the show floor, you keep running into their stuff. And I'm like, I only have one booth because it's real expensive to have a booth at Gen Con at all. So I'm like, okay, well, how can I compete with them? I was the one that made the originals, and mine are still the best because they have an injection foam molded interior, so you can actually roll them like die, like a real die. Whereas the ones that everyone else makes are just like stuffing filled, so they're kind of squishable, and you can't actually roll them like dice. But I was like, so I could compete just in quality, but I don't know that that really catches the eye. What if I looked into really cool fabric samples though, and instead of doing the reprint in just red like I had it before, and like Wizards of the Coast has theirs now, what if I did like rainbow or sparkle? So they got me a quote, and they're going to get me the fabric samples probably after Lunar New Year. So I get to go through cool fabric samples and see if I'm doing like a shiny
Cool, cool, cool.
dice or like a rainbow
Yeah.
dice or something real funky. That's how I'm going to compete with Wizards.
Good.
They also stole one of my T-shirt designs.
Oh no, what'd they do?
It was my the one I've now discontinued. What did it say? Um, oh, this is just how I roll, and it's got a D20 on it. And it's like I roll
Uh,
20s. I did a really nice version of that one. They did a kind of shittier version of it, but theirs sold better, so I discontinued mine.
Jim is gonna be at Emerald City Comic Con.
Oh, cool. Zub?
No, I'm Jim from Our Flag Means Death.
Oh, hell yeah.
Uh,
Ortiz. What's
yes.
their name?
I forget their name,
Yeah,
but
me too.
they're Jim.
Jim. My
And
friend
it
who
was
was
like
super into.
they were announcing other cast members of Our Flag Means Death, and I was like, well, that's nice.
Vico.
I don't know if I want to stand in line. And then they announced Jim, and I was like,
Oh, I need to go
I
now. God damn it.
maybe want Jim's autograph, but I was also like, I don't have anything to get signed.
Mm,
My friend Molly was like, well, they always have pictures for you to get signed, and I was like, pictures are boring slash I will probably lose them.
yeah.
Um, uh,
Oh man, I am looking forward to my friend's response. So my friend is super, super, super into Our Flag Means Death, and I share a booth with them. Uh, and they were cosplaying as Izzy Hands last year, and had like a big
mhm.
deal where they were like, "Oh no, I must dress up as Izzy, and I gotta go get his autograph because oh my god, it's my boy, my good trash boy."
Yeah.
Uh,
Uh,
I wonder if they will be equally excited by the presence of one Jimothy.
a friend of mine is super into the Our Flag Means Death fandom
Mm-hmm.
and was letting me know about drama that's happening in the fandom.
Excellent. Oh
And
no.
basically, a lot of the Izzy Hands fans
Yeah.
have a real "I'm not like other girls" energy,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, which is really kind of hostile to the people that ship uh, Steed and Ed. And that apparently seems to be like
That's the drama.
what's going on in the drama llamas of it right now.
Good.
Like
Good.
the tone of a chat choosing changed because it became mostly Izzy Hands fans, and they were like, "We're just so much better than other girls because we don't like the
We
main
like the
ship.
bad guy. We like the bad guy ship.
Uh, we're not like other
Uh-huh.
girls."
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and it's like it would be fine if they just liked the ship, but it's like people who don't like our ship are stupid is kind of the attitude that they've apparently taken.
Good. Did I tell you about
Um,
the Tumblr drama I won't say got embroiled in, but that like came out on my dashboard?
yeah,
It was
what
fun.
happened?
I posted something offhand about Cyberpunk 2077. I was like, basically, look, so Samurai is a band fronted by a white guy, and him and his buddy were like, wouldn't it be cool if we called ourselves Samurai because they're like fighting the system, man. Like they'll die for honor, and they're not wage slaves. We espouse everything samurai. And I'm like, A, appropriative shit. B, you're thinking Ronin, not samurai. Samurai worked for the rich people, so you're double wrong, Johnny, and you're dumbass. And so I posted something to that effect. And then I got a Carrie Eurodyne shipper in my chat who was just like, first of all, Carrie is not a white guy, and Johnny is not a white guy either because he's played by Keanu Reeves, who is Indigenous Hawaiian, and so he is not white either. And I'm like, okay, that's
But
just
he's still not Japanese. But
he's not Japanese, but also being played by someone does not make them of that ethnicity. And third, Johnny Silverhand is very much a white guy. It's established in canon. So you're just all wrong. But I am too old and too wise to argue with random shippers on Tumblr. So I was just like,
Yeah.
lol, whatever. You can't block folks on Tumblr, but
Um,
I woulda if it was Twitter. I would have been just like, yep, not chatting with you,
I
whatever.
have I have a picture for you
Good, good, good.
to post next time you accidentally get embroiled in fandom drama.
Thank you, good. I'm sure I will. I'm sure I will say something very controversial on some of
There
the
you go.
shippers. They'll be like, "No, you can't ship this person." What do
There
we
you
got?
go.
What do we got? What do we got? I gotta switch windows here. I am 30 or 40 years old and I do not need this. Correct. Exceedingly correct. That is the vibes I want to take onto the internet. Always. I have like,
Yeah.
look, child, I remember the old Tumblr wars. I was there in the bad old days. I cut my teeth in the early days of fandom. And I'm too old for this shit. I am too old for your fan nonsense. And I'm tired. I'm gonna go put my feet up, draw some more ridiculous fan art. I'm definitely using that GIF.
It's not a GIF, it's a single
Just
fit
an
picture.
image.
You can post that
Perfect.
everywhere.
Excellent. Excellent.
Um,
Anyway, it was nice to know the internet hasn't changed.
yeah.
Lane just tweeted again. It was just like, I have to say goodbye to this beautiful ship.
It's his ship.
It's his ship.
Did you see that Tumblr has merchandise now?
What?
And they have accurately assessed who would buy Tumblr merchandise,
Oh, good.
and the answer is ship posters.
Hell yes.
Um,
Good. You know your
they
audience.
they said the uh um they sell a journal that now says Tumblr offline.
Yeah?
And they sell Tumblr, which is a
Oh,
Tumblr.
oh, I love it. Yes, please. I do want that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's my inner shit poster, but I do love a Tumblr that is a Tumblr.
Yeah.
And let's be honest
And
here,
then
my
there's
inner
like
shit poster is not
sweatpants.
particularly inner.
Then there's sweatpants that are like my Tumblr reading pants or something like
Oh,
that.
good. Oh,
Like,
good. Knowing your audience. You could
yeah.
teach Wizards of the Coast a thing or two there, y'all.
Do you think Wizards of the Coast would make a T-shirt that has Cheeto dust printed on it?
No, but they should.
Comes pre-Cheeto dusted.
Yeah. Oh, why didn't I put Cheeto dust on my Goblin Mode shirt?
Clearly, you didn't think that
I
through.
didn't think that through. I didn't think that through. Missing out on some important merchandising opportunities here. You got to make a Canadian version of that shirt that's got cheesy dust. Oh man, I should put that on. That would make a good Indigenous shirt. Just like hot Cheetos, hot Cheeto dust.
I love the bit in Reservation Dogs where she has hurt her tummy eating too many
Yes,
chips.
correct. She ate too many hot spicy chips and her tummy went, no. This is not
Yeah.
this is not Indigenous food. What are you doing? I hurt my
I
tummy
feel
once
like if you
eating.
eat that as many hot chips as that girl ate, like regardless of ethnicity, your tummy will be mad at you.
Yeah, that's bad. But it's so cheap and it's so accessible on reserve.
Those are sometimes food, not an
Mhm.
everyday food.
Mhm. Except if welfare check hasn't come in and your mama hasn't
Yeah.
and somebody drank up all the money again, so like that's the food that you got to eat this week.
Yeah. I understand why she ate all the chips. I'm just
Uh-huh.
saying, like, don't eat those many chips
It's just bad
regardless of who
though.
you are.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's bad. All
it's
right.
bad for you. Your poor tummy.
Your poor tum tum. Think of your digestion. I have been eating just a metric shit ton of fish this week.
Um,
Lane does not like the smell
I
of fish cooking, so I don't cook it very often. Uh, but I
I
fucking love
ate
it.
I ate far too many ice cream sandwiches this week.
Ooh, ooh,
Um, because
fancy.
I was rewatching Arrested Development and I was like, I could really go for an ice cream sandwich.
Mhm,
So then
mhm.
I went to the store and I bought a 24 pack a few days ago, and those are all gone.
Oh, good, good, good.
And it was a reminder as to why I do not
Have them in the
have ice
house.
cream sandwiches in my
Yeah.
house. Um, because I will eat them all,
Yep.
and I will eat nothing but ice cream sandwiches until they're done.
With only some regrets. All right, I will get
Oh.
into more blizzard weather in this comic next time. Well, tomorrow actually. I'll probably be done this page by next week.
I have finished my page,
Good.
and it is almost 10.
Yeah, that's a good
How
time to
you
call
doing?
it. I'm
How's
good.
your
I'm at a
it's a
good
good
I'm
place
at
to
a
stop?
good point to stop.
Well, thanks everyone for coming to the stream.
Yeah.
Once again, I make comics you can read at kelmcdonald.com,
And I make comics that you can read at alenapete.com or at weargeek.com.
and you can find us next week at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time once again. And
Same bat
y'all
time,
have a good one.
same bat
Yeah,
channels.
laters.
See ya.